My name is Amaka, and this is the story of how I fell in love with a married man, only to find myself trapped in a web of deceit, betrayal, and a pregnancy that threatens to unravel everything. I grew up in a small house with my mother and my sister Nkechi. Life wasn't easy, so I learned how to survive by dating rich men, big men with fat wallets. They gave me money, clothes, and fancy phones. I didn't have a job. I just lived off their gifts. But I got tired of that life. I wanted something better, something permanent. So I decided to step on my game. Just before I met Tunde, I bought Kayamata waist bead from a woman in the market. Kayamata is a Juju waist bead that makes men fall in love with you and do whatever you want. I wanted a man who would be mine forever. A week later, I met Tunde at a fancy bar in Ikoyi. The music was loud and the lights were bright. Tunde was tall, handsome, and had a smile that made my heart skip. He bought me a drink and told me he was married to a woman named Dolapo. But I don't love her, he said. My family forced me to marry her. She's cold and only wants my money. I felt sorry for him, and I liked how he looked at me. That night, I used the Kayamata on him. It worked like magic. Tunde couldn't stop calling me. He sent me gifts, a gold necklace, a new dress, and even a brand new iPhone. He called me my love and said I was his everything. We started dating in secret. We would meet at small hotels or quiet restaurants, laughing and holding hands. Tunde told me about his problems with Dolapo. She is always fighting me, he said. I want to be free. The Kayamata made him crazy about me. One day, he said, Amaka, I'm leaving Dolapo for you. I want us to be together forever. I was so happy. The charm was working. Leaving Dolapo was messy. She screamed and cried, saying Tunde was abandoning her and their 2 children. But Tunde didn't care. He moved Dolapo and the kids to a small house on the mainland, and he asked me to move into his big mansion on Victoria Island. My mother and Nkechi came with me. The house was like a dream, big chandeliers, marble floors, and a garden full of flowers. I felt like a queen. One night, Tunde took me to the garden where lights twinkled like stars. He got on one knee and gave me a diamond ring. Marry me, Amaka, he said. I said yes, and we planned a huge wedding for June. My friends were already buying asoebi, and I dreamed of walking down the aisle in a sparkling gown. At first, everything was perfect. Tunde kissed me every morning and called me my love. We cuddled on the big couch, watching movies and planning our future. After a few months, things changed. Tunde stopped being sweet. He didn't hug me or call me my love anymore. He would stay in his office all day, saying, I'm busy, Amaka, leave me alone. He even stopped giving me money for food or clothes. I had to use my savings, and I felt like a stranger in the house. My mother noticed it too. This man is changing, she said. Nkechi was more direct. Amaka, be careful. You have no house or car in your name. If he leaves you, you are finished. One day, I found a clue that broke my heart. Tunde left his phone on the table, and I saw a text from Dolapo. Thanks for the new iPhone, darling. Can't wait to see you. I was shocked. I checked more messages and found out Tunde was visiting Dolapo on the mainland. He told me it was for their kids, but then I saw a message that made me sick. The baby is kicking. You are going to love this one. Dolapo was pregnant. Tunde was still with her, even after promising me everything. I confronted Tunde that night. You lied to me, I shouted, tears in my eyes. You are still with Dolapo and she's pregnant. Tunde looked calm, which made me angrier. It was a mistake, he said. I love you, Amaka. I will fix it. But his words felt empty. He didn't stop seeing Dolapo. He gave her a car and sent her money without telling me. I felt betrayed, but I didn't know what to do. Then something happened that gave me hope. I found out I was pregnant. I was so happy, thinking a baby would make Tunde love me again. I told him one evening, smiling and holding his hand, Tunde, I'm pregnant. We are having a baby. He just looked at me and said, okay. No smile, no hug, nothing. I was hot, but I thought he would come around. The next week, I started feeling sharp pains in my stomach. I went to the hospital and the doctor told me I had a miscarriage. I lost the baby. I cried for days, but Tunde didn't care. He just said, sorry, it happens. I felt so alone. Desperate to save my relationship, I did something crazy. I decided to confront Dolapo. One hot afternoon, I took a taxi to her house on the mainland. My heart was pounding as I knocked on her door. Dolapo opened it, looking calm and confident. "What do you want, Amaka?" she asked. I shouted, "Leave Tunde alone. He is mine now." Dolapo laughed and said, "Have you forgotten Tunde is my husband? You are the husband snatcher, Amaka." I was so angry, I pushed her. That was a mistake. Dolapo was stronger than she looked. She grabbed my hair and slapped me hard. I tried to fight back, but she beat me mercilessly, pushing me to the ground. Neighbors came out to watch, and I felt so ashamed as I ran back to the taxi, my clothes torn and my face bruised. After that, things got worse. I found papers in Tunde's room showing he was sending Dolapo a lot of money every month. I couldn't believe he was building a life with her while living with me. One stormy night, I threw the papers at him and screamed, "You are giving her everything. Choose me or Dolapo now." Tunde looked at me and said, "I can't leave her. She's pregnant and I have to be there. But I still want you." His word broke my heart. I pulled off my ring and threw it at him. "I'm done sharing you," I cried. But the real truth came later and it crushed me. I didn't know that Dolapo had been fighting to get Tunde back. When Tunde left her, she found out I used kayamata on him. She was angry and decided to fight back with prayer. Dolapo went to church every day, praying hard for God to break the kayamata's power and bring her husband home. Her prayers were stronger than my charm. One morning, Tunde came home and looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. His eyes were clear, like a spell had lifted. He said, "Amaka, you need to leave. I'm going back to Dolapo." I was shocked. The kayamata had worn off. Tunde packed my bags and told me to go. He moved back to Dolapo and their children, and they were happy again, like I never existed. I was so ashamed. Everyone knew about my June wedding. My friends, family, and even strangers on social media had bought reby and planned to come. When the wedding was cancelled, people laughed at me. "Amaka used Juju to steal a man and now she's dumped," they said. I saw the posts online and I cried every night. My mother tried to comfort me, but Nkechi was blunt. "You played a dangerous game, Amaka, and you lost." Now I'm back in my mother's small house in Surulere with no money, no Tunde, and no pride. I walk past people who whisper about me and I keep my head down. I learned a hard lesson. You can't force love with shams. Dolapo won because our prayers were stronger than my kayamata. I'm trying to start over, but it's not easy. I want to find a job and build a new life, but the shame follows me everywhere. Maybe one day I'll find real love, love that doesn't need Juju to last.
2 years later.
Hey, it's Amaka again. You remember my story, right? How I used kayamata to steal Tunde from his wife Dolapo, only to lose everything. My engagement, my pride, and even my unborn baby. Man, that was a dark time. I was the talk of Lagos, with people laughing at me on social media, calling me Juju girl. I thought I would never smile again, but life has a funny way of surprising you. Let me tell you how I found real love, no charms needed, and how Tunde finally changed his ways. After Tunde kicked me out of his Victoria Island mansion, it was rough. I would walk to the market and people would whisper, "That's the girl who tried to steal a husband with Juju." I would keep my head down, my big afro hiding my face. My sister Nkechi was like, "Amaka, you messed up, but you are not done. Pick yourself up." My mom prayed for me every night, saying God has a plan. I wasn't so sure, but I started looking for a job to keep busy. One day, I was at a tailoring shop in Yaba, dropping off some clothes to sell. I had started a small business selling second-hand dresses to make ends meet. That's when I met Chidi. He was fixing a sewing machine in his shop, his hands covered in oil, his smile bright like the sun. Chidi was 28, not tall like Tunde, but solid, with kind eyes and a short beard. He was like, "Hey, you are the dress lady, right? These designs are nice." I laughed for the first time in months. We got talking and it was so easy to chat with. No fake charm, just real vibes. Chidi started coming by the shop more often, saying he was checking the machines, but I knew he was there for me. One evening, he asked me to grab pepper soup at a small joint near Tejuosho Market. The place was noisy, with Fuji music blasting and people shouting over their plates. We sat at a plastic table and Chidi was like, "Amaka, you are always smiling, but I feel there's a story behind it." I froze. My past was a heavy load, dating big men, using kayamata, the whole Tunde mess. I didn't want to scare him off, but something about his eyes made me feel safe. So I spilled everything. I told him how I used to live off rich guys, how I bought kayamata to trap Tunde, how I lost my baby, and how Dolapo beat me up. I was shaking, expecting him to run, but Chidi just leaned back, sipped his star beer, and said, "Wow, Amaka, you've been through a lot, but that's not who you are now. I see a strong woman trying to do better." I started crying right there, pepper soup forgotten. He reached across the table and held my hand. "I like you, Amaka." My heart felt full, like it could burst. Chidi wasn't rich like Tunde. He ran a small repair shop, fixing phones and machines, making just enough to get by. But he was real. We started dating and it was different. No fancy gifts, but he would bring me roasted corn from the roadside or call just to hear my voice. One night, we were at his place in Ebute Meta, a tiny flat with a noisy fan. He cooked jollof rice and we danced to Burna Boy, laughing like kids. I was like, "Chidi, you sure you want me? I've got baggage." He pulled me close and said, "Your past is your past. I love you, Amaka." I felt like I could breathe again. A year later, Chidi proposed, not in a fancy garden like Tunde, but on a beach in Badagry, with waves crashing and seagulls overhead. He gave me a simple silver ring, nothing flashy, and said, "Let's build a life together." I said yes, and we hugged under the sunset, my big afro bouncing in the breeze. We got married in a small church, just family and a few friends. Nkechi was my chief bridesmaid, screaming, "My sister is back!" We moved into a 2-bedroom flat in Yaba, nothing like Tunde's mansion, but it was ours. I kept selling dresses, and Chidi's shop was doing okay. We weren't rich, but we had enough. Enough food, enough laughter, enough love. One day, I was at the market when I ran into an old friend from my Tunde days. She was like, "Amaka, you won't believe what's up with Tunde." She told me Tunde had changed completely. After he went back to Dolapo, he was scared of falling for another Juju woman. The Kayamata mess shook him bad. He stopped his shitting ways. No more side chicks, no more late night runs. He moved his family back to the Victoria Highland mansion and started going to church with Dolapo every Sunday. My friend said, "Girl, Tunde is like a new man. He treats Dolapo like a queen now, always posting her on Instagram with captions like, 'My forever love.'" I was shocked but happy for Dolapo. She fought for her marriage with prayers and it paid off. I heard Tunde even started a foundation to help young men avoid bad relationships, talking about how he almost lost his family to spiritual traps. Crazy, right? I saw one of his posts online. Him and Dolapo smiling with their kids, looking peaceful. I didn't feel jealous though. I had Chidi and that was enough. Life with Chidi isn't perfect. Sometimes we argue about money or whose turn it is to cook, but he's my rock. One evening, we were on our balcony, sharing a plate of puff-puff, watching kids play football on the streets. I was like, "Chidi, you think I'm doing okay after everything?" He laughed and said, "Amaka, you are more than okay. You are my superstar." I leaned on his shoulder, my afro brushing his face, and felt something I never had with Tunde, peace. Now I'm pregnant again and Chidi is over the moon, painting the spare room for our baby. I don't check social media much anymore. The gossip about Juju girl has died down. I'm just Amaka, a wife, soon to be mom, and a woman who learned that real love doesn't need charms. Tunde is living his truth. Dolapo's got a family, and me, I've got a man who loves me for me, and a life that is simple but sweet. And honestly, that's all I need. The story of Amaka, Tunde, and Dolapo teaches us that true love cannot be forced or manipulated. Amaka's use of Kayamata to win Tunde's affection led to temporary success, but ultimately caused heartbreak, shame, and loss, showing that shortcuts like shams or deceit only bring fleeting results. Dolapo's steadfast prayers and commitment to a marriage highlight the power of patience and faith, while Tunde's transformation underscores the importance of learning from mistake and choosing integrity. Amaka's eventual happiness with Chidi proves that authentic love built on honesty and mutual respect is far more fulfilling than superficial wealth or control. The story reminds us to value ourselves, embrace our past, and seek relationships rooted in truth rather than manipulation. If you enjoyed this story and want more, please subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon for new video notifications. You can also check out some of the videos here. Thank you for watching. Remain blessed.